Washington Backcountry Discovery Route, commonly called the BDR, is a 575-mile route primarily made of dirt roads that will take you through the Cascade Mountains beginning in Stevenson, Washington, and bring you all the way to the Canadian border at Nighthawk. Jake and I began our 6-day trek up the BDR at the Bridge of the Gods in Oregon. Bridge of the Gods is considered the symbolic start to the BDR. The bridge is in the heart of the Columbia River Gorge. The bridge is an 1,800-foot-long steel truss bridge that spans the Columbia River and is located about 40 miles east of Portland. The name is actually derived from a much larger land bridge named by the local Native Americans. This land bridge was formed around 1450 and was the result of a blockage caused by a massive landslide. We stopped in Stevenson, Washington to fuel up and meet with our good friends Chris and Cathy, who would be joining us on the first section of the BDR. You can take a short detour from the BDR to visit the ice caves, which is worth the time. The ice caves were created by a lava flow over 20,000 years ago. The lava tube preserves ice formations year-round, and when you reach the entrance to the ice cave, you feel an immediate and profound change in temperature. As you descend down into the cave, a mere 30 feet, the temperature drops by a significant amount. By the time you reach the foot of the staircase, you feel like you've walked into a walk-in refrigerator. After exploring the ice caves, we got back on the trail heading north. We weren't sure where we were going to set up camp that night, so when we ran across the Trout Lake Creek campground, we decided to drive through and see if there are any available spots. It's a first-come, first-served campground, and there's approximately 17 spots there. There's a primitive pit toilet, and that's it. We found 2 spots right next to each other, so we set up camp and made dinner. We sat around the campfire having a couple cocktails, but got to an early night's sleep so we could get on the trail early the next morning. The next morning we got up, had our breakfast, and set out to complete Section 1 with our friends Chris and Cathy. We were going to be dropping off Chris and Cathy in Packwood, and then picking up with our good friend Isaac, who will do Sections 2 and 3 with us. After taking in spectacular views at Taklak Lake, we made our way to Packwood, where we said goodbye to Chris and Cathy and picked up my good friend Isaac in his classic Toyota Land Cruiser. Highway 12 heading east from Packwood crosses over White Pass and skirts Rimrock Lake before turning north on a gravel roads which will lead you to Bethel Ridge. Our goal was to find camping spots either on Bethel Ridge or in that general vicinity. Section 2 begins in Packwood and goes to Ellensburg, Washington, and it's about 122 miles long. The road leading up to Bethel Ridge is rocky and slow-moving, but the views as you climbed over 5,800 feet are absolutely spectacular. After taking in the stunning views of the point on Bethel Ridge, we headed further north where we found a great campsite right on the ridge. We ended our second day by taking in the epic views from our campsite and preparing for the next day. Next morning we woke to really heavy fog, but it quickly burned off and we started our trek to complete Section 2. Shortly after you leave the ridgeline, there's some pretty significant ruts which you have to take your time to get through. As we came down off of Bethel Ridge, we ran into Michael from Conquest Overland. Jake is a huge fan of Michael's YouTube channel, and he was thrilled to see Michael there. We grabbed some quick photos with Michael, and we continued on to complete Section 2. The BDR map shows two ways to complete Section 2, an easier, shorter way and a longer, more difficult way. I wouldn't consider the difficult way actually challenging, but it is truly a much rougher and harsher ride. Isaac's Land Cruiser with its solid front axle struggled mightily to keep up with the Bronco. He was cursing my name the entire time for having chosen the more difficult route. Apparently the Toyota blew a fuse trying to keep up with the Bronco. Isaac made a quick trail repair, and then we end up getting back on the road to Ellensburg. Ellensburg marks the end of the second section and the beginning of the third section.
I had a big adventure with Daddy Drake and Chris and Cathy, and tires, and fun. Yeah, it is fun.